Get your films on with the Blurs.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blurs.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Rondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned.
Ridiculous.
Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hello, and welcome to episode 57 of the Film Blurs. I'm Brandon Norwood, a.k.a. Hero Protagonist, a.k.a. the true father of Joe's kids, a.k.a. Poppy Chulo, a.k.a. the Glizzy King, a.k.a. Mr. Krusty, a.k.a. the Lethal Protector, a.k.a. my biggest pet peeve is sports because I don't like seeing grown men sweat on each other, a.k.a. I want a Subaru Outback so I can have mad strippers in the back giving shape-ups, a.k.a. Rough McGruff, a.k.a. D's Nuts, a.k.a. B-Wood, the Magnificent. And I'm joined here today by my co-host.
Yo, I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. Uncle Jeffrey, a.k.a. J. Otis Dynamite, a.k.a. Revengeman Button, a.k.a. He Who Remains, a.k.a. Perry Ruxpin, a.k.a. Jobu Tupaki, a.k.a. This Motherfucker, a.k.a. To Be Determined, a.k.a. It's Not COVID.
Okay. So, all right, first thing we're going to get into is on Friday, because this all went down on Thursday. So Friday, this really started to pick up traction, and it blew up over the weekend and just became basically a whole shit show. Lena Wilson is a 27-year-old film critic for the New York Times. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. Put that together. 27-year-old film critic for the New York Times. Gives you pause right there, right? She wrote a review for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Wasn't positive. In her review, she claimed it was a 95-minute ad for Cleavage and Charlie XCX's new song. Amandla Stenberg privately, and this is privately because you can't make DMs public unless you screenshot the shit, privately sent her a message saying, you know, if you kept your eyes off my tits, maybe you might have enjoyed the movie. And mind you, if you've seen the movie, the only person whose cleavage is very readily shown is Amandla Stenberg's. And to be fair to her, like the only like titillating scene in the movie is the pool scene. And after that, once they all get out the pool, they all immediately throw on clothes and robes. Right. And by that time, the movie's already starting and you're already invested in the drama because already when she shows up, they're like, oh, this bitch is here? What is she doing here? Right.
For a movie that is for a horror movie, it's actually very tastefully done. There is no fucking nudity in this.
Yeah.
Any titillating, anything like that, any like whatever is very minimal, and it's character driven, right? It's not like she's dressing thoughty. Right, it's like no one's dressing thoughty.
That's how women dress, man.
They're like everyone's dressing like a early 20s person. You know, like it's not Amanda's fault that she has big breasts.
Exactly. I was about to say she's a well-endowed woman. The reason why she sent this DM is because she's also tired of people talking about her tits. Ever since she's been working ever since I think she was like 16. Mm-hmm. And she's now 23 and she's just tired of people talking about her tits. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And so Lena took offense to this, made a whole ass TikTok video saying, first off, I want to let's pause the drama for a second. She starts the TikTok by saying there is a criminally underrated amount of tickets sold to a 35 millimeter screening of Jennifer's Body at the Roxy Cinema. And for those of you who know the Roxy Cinema in New York City, they always show 35 millimeter prints. I've never been there. I know of it. It's at the Roxy. It's in the basement of the Roxy Hotel, so the Roxy Theater. They always have these extravagant events. I hope to go there once and see a movie in 35. That's interesting that she's going to be pushing
Jennifer's Body.
Yes,
right?
for a bunch of different reasons. Like, I know that movie's big among black and white feminists and a lot of queer women, but interesting to me how she's going to shit on bodies, and talk about, and meanwhile start sucking off Jennifer's Body, which I rewatched last night and I will talk about during my What Have You Watched Lately?
Right.
So after she does that little promo, she goes, yeah, a famous actress I really loved and enjoyed DM me this. And she's like, I'll let it speak for myself. And it said what we already said. And she didn't even give her a chance to respond back. She just sent the message and immediately blocked her. And then said, yeah, I'm just posting this because this person has more social power than me. And I just want them to know it's not fucking okay. And I'm just like, number one thing here, no social power is being used if it was a DM, a private DM between two people. And how are you going to say she has more social power when you're a fucking film critic at the New York Times?
Right. So here's my thing. And it's like everybody's wrong here. Amanda should have known better. Like, I'm sorry, Amandla. Sorry. The cardinal rule of the internet is don't respond. Right? Like, don't. Everybody wants to go out there and pull a Jay and Silent Bob and just go and fucking go after all these online critics. But the thing is, it's pointless. Just take it on the chin and keep walking. And Lena fucked up because, like, look, like you said, it was a DM, right? She wasn't out there in the streets and everything like that,
screaming her name and shit.
Right. It was there was a perfect opportunity to actually start a dialogue.
Yeah. Because if I had gotten that DM, I would have been like, all right, well, maybe I could parlay this into a friendship. I could be friends with a fucking famous person.
It's not even like a friendship, but just like just open and honest dialogue about
her feelings on the movie. But no, like all of this new generation, everybody's reactionary. Like, instead of like handling it like an adult, and be like, look, this is a chance for me. And it's a chance for us to actually, make some progress or whatever like that, or start a line of communication between critics and the people who create art. It's just like, nah, look, she's been mean to me. Well, my thing too is she took it so much further because she instantly locked her Twitter account. So people who were friends with her were screenshotting her tweets and posting her tweets where she was going, there was a tweet that said, I think Bodies is a 95-minute ad for cleavage. Straight men and Amandla Stenberg, a raging dyke hates this movie. And I'm like, wait, time out. Nobody used a fucking homophobic slur against you. Amandla goes by gender neutral pronouns, and she's long time ago that she's queer. Movie opens up between two women kissing, like a close up of that shit.
Like them making out a hardcore.
This is my problem with, and I'm sorry to be that guy, but I'm gonna say it. This is my problem with a lot of white women in Brooklyn. Is this type of victimizing bullshit.
Right.
I see this before. I've dealt with this shit before, and I see it time and time again where you call them out or you tell them something and they blow it out of proportion, and it gets dangerous because shit like this is dangerous.
Right. Especially a white woman up against a black woman. Because,
yes.
Now it looks like, it's an angry black female
This is how Emmett Till happened. This is exactly how Emmett Till happened. These white women, they get uppity and like I said before on this podcast, and I'll say it again, there's nothing more dangerous than a white woman who's upset and or uncomfortable.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, Lena started calling her homophobic and everything like that, which nothing in that original DM said anything like had any sort of connotation of being like a self-hating homophobe. You mentioned her tits in a New York Times review.
Yes.
Right? Like, you shots fired.
Yeah.
Talking about her physicality. Right? So if she brings that to your attention, right? It's not not a self-hating homophobic remark. Like, you started talking about her tits.
And well, the reason why this snowballed out of control is because, people have, before she deleted her TikTok account and deleted her Twitter account and made her Instagram super private, people dug into her past TikToks where people have been asking her ad nauseum, how did you get this job? She made a whole TikTok about why I'm better than you and how I got this job. Did you see that TikTok?
No, I didn't. Like, once I started reading the articles, and like, I didn't want to know anything more about this person.
Her dad, she got the job primarily because her dad is Michael Wilson, who is one of the primary editors on the New York Times.
Oh, what? Wait.
I think she went to Smith College, and Smith College is a very big liberal arts school. And a lot of her fellow classmates have came out and started saying, yeah, this is par for the course with Lena. She does this shit, especially with people of color, especially queer people of color. She does this shit all the time. Apparently, she was in a relationship with a woman in college and did so much damage that this woman had to go to therapy afterwards.
So her life. So she's pissed off that her life is sort of mimicking bodies.
That's what everybody was saying. They were like, "What's ironic here is this is the exact shit bodies was making fun of."
Right. I was like, okay, a 27-year-old working at the New York Times. Now it all makes sense. Your dad owns the dealership.
That's why I said, put that sentence together. 27-year-old working film critic at the New York Times. That makes no fucking sense.
Right.
So this other TikTok, she was bragging where she was like, I got this job because, one, I'm good at writing and I'm good at art criticism. And trust me, art criticism is hard to do. And I'm like, bitch, shut the fuck up. And then she goes, number two, I was 24 years old, fresh out of college, and got one of my op-eds published right on the front page of the culture section of the New York Times. It wasn't even edited. It was barely edited. It was put right up in there. And I was like, yeah, because your fucking dad.
Your dad's an editor at the New York fucking Times.
Yeah. And she started listing off all these two other reasons why. And I was just like, have you no self-awareness? And
why? Like, she doesn't have to. Like, she doesn't. It makes me so angry. She doesn't have to have self-awareness because she's got enough clout and enough power that any of her sycophant friends that are circling around her aren't going to tell her about herself. That you literally got the job because your dad owns the dealership.
And you know what? Her behavior is going to get somebody killed one day with her trying to make herself out to be a victim. Right. Because if she has a past history of pulling this shit, she's going to keep doing this shit.
Right. And this is the thing, like the self-hating homophobe label that she keeps on throwing at Amandla, that is fucking dangerous.
Yes.
Right. And just because someone doesn't want to, I think that's something that goes across all spectrums. Just because someone doesn't want to take your shit, right, doesn't mean they're attacking you.
Yeah, I mean, that DM was seriously harmless. I've gotten tweets worse than that. And what I do? I block them.
Right. Well, like, Amandla should know Now, like, she's learned a lesson. Don't fucking
stop DMing people.
Like, don't reach out. Look,
you can DM me. DM me. I don't give a fuck. I will not react this way just because, bro. Life is short. If somebody hates my criticism, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, for the most part, like, except for us, every film critic is a failed filmmaker, and they're just all angry. You know?
Yeah.
You know, like we're different because we're actually in the shit. But like for the most part, like those who can't teach, those who can't teach, those who can't teach, fucking criticize.
Yo, Ingmar Bergman started off as a film critic and then went on to make Breathless, The 400 Blows. Like, motherfucker, you know, save up your pennies and make a small indie. Like, that's all I can say.
She doesn't have to save up her pennies because her dad is an editor at the New York Times, and she's a film critic at the New York Times at 27.
You want to know how unaware this was? She made this video in her apartment, in front and on her couch, and right above her on the wall was her bike hanging on the bike rack. I was like, nothing says gentrifier more
than your mounted bike.
White women in Brooklyn.
Oh, well, there we go.
So, yeah, if I was part of the board of the New York Times, I'd pull Mike aside and be like, yeah, so your daughter's out of here. Like, we're getting rid of this bitch because this is bringing so much bad heat down on the New York Times to the point where like people are literally calling for her to be fired.
Right. And like, whatever happened to journalistic ethics? Right? Like, I mean, I've never taken a journalism class, but like I've seen plenty of movies about journalists to know this is not the way journalists are supposed to act. Dan Rather would never treat me like this.
Man, Woodward and Bernstein were fucking targeted, bro, by the U.S. government over that Watergate shit. Like, their lives were in danger that they had to start hiding out.
Yeah. So literally we had our last president had a war on journalism, right? And yet none of that escalated to this bullshittery. Like an actress in a low budget A24 movie, right? You're gonna put on blast like this, but like serious journalists who are being targeted by the United States government, I'll be like, yeah, it's par for the course. Yeah, it's part of the job.
Yo, it's that fragile white ego. Yeah, it happens in a lot of men too. I see it all the time with men too.
And y'all. And the wind whispered, white people.
Yeah, you know. God forbid if this was one of us. Oh, my God. We would never work again.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, no. You better fucking, we know better. We better shut our fucking mouths. Let's keep dancing.
Nigga, if I'm on the New York Times, I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, I managed to finesse my way to being a film critic for the New York Times, nigga.
Like, what could you, like, I'm the film critic for the New York Times. What the fuck are you going to say to me that's going to hurt my fucking feelings?
You know what I would have hit her? If that was me, if I was in Lena's situation, I would have hit her back, be like, yo, listen, if you want to talk about this, let's talk about it. Let's like grab a drink. Let's grab some sushi. Let me know when you're in New York. We could talk about this. Right.
Like every opportunity that you get to actually have a conversation is a good one. But no, like this generation, I sound like a fucking old man, but I don't give a fuck. This generation is just so fucking quick to like violence.
I mean,
to anger.
It ain't just this generation, dog. I mean,
right, but like it's because
it's older women too.
Because of the platforms that we have now.
It's the Karens, baby.
Right, so it's like this because you don't have to actually sit and think about whatever's making you mad and actually analyze it. You can just hop online and do a fucking TikTok, put someone on blast.
That's the thing I think a lot of people lack nowadays, which is a little something called tact. Sit down, think some shit through before you type it or you say it.
Right. I mean, that's what a real journalist would do. But
So moving on to we're gonna go to David Zaslav, aka fucking Film Hitler. We'll call him Film Hitler.
Film Hitler, or or Cinema Vader.
So there's the animated series. It was a new Batman animated series. To Bruce Timm, for those of you who don't know, Bruce Timm is like basically the co-creator of the OG Batman, the animated series, right, which is basically the best version of Batman there ever will be. This dude, this David Zaslav, decided to axe a spiritual successor to that show called, I forget what the name of it was, but not only was Bruce Timm working on it and developing it, Matt Reeves had a creative hand in it as a producer. JJ had some input in it because JJ was a producer in it. And Ed Brubaker, probably one of the greatest writers across TV and comics working today.
It's called Batman Cape Crusader.
Yeah, so Batman Cape Crusader. Yeah, you have 4 people of blockbuster talent behind this motherfucker. And they're like, no. In addition to that, they got rid of a bunch of Looney Tunes movies that were basically done. I didn't even know this existed, but an animated Steve Urkel holiday special, which I'm like, oh shit.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one.
It's on HBO Max. Who gives a fuck? Y'all put F-Boy Island out for 2 seasons.
F-Boy Island has 2 seasons?
Sadly.
Oh man.
And they canceled a whole bunch of shit. Like there's a Cartoon Network show called Driftwood, and it was supposed to be this epic fantasy adventure show that was currently in production. That got axed too. Like they're just cutting all this shit down.
It's fucking cinema purge.
I want to say this is going to be bad when Discovery and HBO Max merge into one streaming platform, because there's going to be very minimal good content. It's all going to be like Honey Boo Boo and Mama June with their 8 spinoffs. You're going to have like 8 different versions of My 600 Pound Life. You'll probably have like 10, 20 different versions of Real Housewives. So pretty soon you'll get like Real Housewives of the Ozark. Because that's all these niggas know.
I mean, honestly, I would watch Real Housewives of the Ozarks. I mean, that might be fucking strange as shit. But like, I have, like, in the last 5 years, I don't think I've ever watched anything on Discovery.
No, nobody. You know, my mom watches it, and she watches it because she either fell asleep or she's getting ready to go to work, and she just has that shit on in the background.
Right. Like, and so like Honey Boo Boo, like I watched Honey Boo Boo when it first came out. Right? Like how many years ago? 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, wow, this is trash TV. I spent a whole entire weekend watching that shit. Never thought about it again. Like, I'm not coming back to that. I was like, oh, let me see what all the fuss is about. I was like, oh, yeah, this is pretty horrible.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Batman, one of the crown jewels in your fucking little fucking Warner Brothers DC property that y'all just bought up. And y'all gonna axe that shit, but then we're gonna get like 20 different versions of Ice Road Truckers.
Right. And here's the fucking thing. Like, you would think WB and DC don't have any other properties but Batman.
Yeah.
The way they put that motherfucker out on the stroll. Like Batman is WB's bottom bitch. And like the fact that they're gonna cancel this show, which is going to be amazing. Like, there's no option for it to fail, because motherfuckers are still talking about Batman the Animated Series, right?
Yeah.
Like, how long ago did that come out? Like 25 years ago?
Yeah, man. I mean, they just put out the remastered Blu-ray like 5 years ago. I got that as a Christmas gift, and oh boy, that is just like
Mask of the Phantasm. Ooh. Like, right? All that shit, like
Superman the Animated Series.
Right, even Superman the Animated Series wasn't fucking bad,
and the Justice League show.
Right, so like you've got the money, you've got a way to print the money since you can't get the actual movies right. right? And like, I'm sure an animated feature or an animated show is far less expensive than trying to fucking tranquilize Ezra Miller's ass and corral them, right?
That's crazy to me that Batman Cape Crusader with 4 talented titans behind it gets axed, but we're still moving ahead with the Flash. All right, sure, man. All right,
cool.
Staying on. So speaking, before we move on to this next piece of David Zaslav news, I just want to let you guys know,
Zavwatch.
Please go to HBO Max and watch Rap Shit. That so far this first season's awesome. This will probably be the only season, because as it looks like, if you're a brown person, you're done for.
Done. And here's the thing, like, if we want to talk about it later and when you watch, I tried watching Rap Shit. It's a little too hip for me. Like, it's the whole entire social media framework of it is a little much for me, but it is a good show.
See, I'm of that age. So
yeah, like, I get it. It's just, I don't get it. Like, I get it, but it's just like a little too.
It's not for you.
It's not for me. But like, the writing is great, the acting is great, like the story is great. It's just the framework of the social media, like how everything's like a fucking TikTok or whatever like that.
See, that don't bother me, bro. Yeah, it's just it is what the show is.
Yeah, no, like, so. But it's for a show like this. For a show like that, I'd rather watch that than any other of these shows that try to be hip and try to speak to this generation. At least this one's good. Well, but moving on. Go ahead.
Moving on to our last piece of news with David Zaslav. The directors of Batgirl, Balila and Adil, they logged on to the servers to get what they could of their movie. That shit is gone.
Oh, were they about to pull a fucking what the fuck? I can't even think. Like Deadpool. Were they about to pull a Deadpool?
Well, from what I understood, they wanted that shit to put in their reel and then just to maybe hold on to it and cut together what they could and just show it off to some friends. Like, yo, look at this shit. Look at what could have been. Right. And it's gone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's some extremely petty shit.
I don't know if it's I'm not going to say anything. I don't I'm not going to say that was a decision based on anything, but we could put it on, we got to save money, so let's take it off the server and put it on this fucking hard drive and throw it somewhere. You know, I don't know if it's a retaliatory move, or if it's like preemptive, because it could be one of those Deadpool situations. You know,
I mean, either way, that's fucked.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, like, WB, we hate brown people.
You know what? I get it. Like, AT&T tanked that company so bad that they were like in so much debt.
Right.
But there's only so many tax write-offs you can get, my guy.
Right. Like, you've already spent the $90 million. You've already spent the money.
Yeah. What? They acquired that company for $45 billion.
No, but I'm talking about like for the Batman.
Oh, yeah.
For Batgirl. Like, you've already spent the money. Like, you're not getting that back.
And here's my thing. Disney has spent the last 15 years trying to get everything Marvel under one house. They have Marvel everything except for Spider-Man and all his ancillary characters. They have everything now under one house.
Right.
Like, for the longest time, everything was fragmented. Like, Marvel TV was their own thing. Marvel movies were their own thing. Spider-Man and X-Men, everybody was all fucked. It was all fucked up. Now everything's coming together under one house. Like, oh shit, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Punisher, they're all under one house in the MCU proper. DC, and Warner Brothers, or Discovery. Well, let's just say Discovery. Discovery's just like, we'll give it to them. They could stream it. All right, they could have it. And it's just like, this is going to bite you in the ass.
Like, everybody wants Disney Marvel money, but they're not willing to put in the time and the work that Disney and Marvel did. Like, no matter what we have to say about the new output of Marvel, they had a fucking plan and they stuck to the plan.
Yeah, and not for nothing. While we might not agree with the plan, they still have a plan.
Right. And they stuck. They did not pivot. It's like, look, we're gonna fucking bulldoze through this. We're gonna make it work.
Yeah. If David Zaslav wants to rival Marvel with his new 10-year plan, bro, you can't be licensing shit out to just anybody and everybody. That's just not how that shit works. I mean, some of your biggest characters are just TV shows now because y'all refuse to do anything with them.
Right.
So that's all I gotta say.
Zav watch.
Yeah, but a trumpet is doing Trump shit with a major studio. So I mean, I can't be surprised there. All right, Jeff, what have you watched lately?
What you watching? What you watching?
I said, what you watching?
What you watching?
What are you watching?
I've been watching a lot of TV.
Okay.
Lately, so we're gonna just go like bruise through those. So I started off this week watching Untold, the girlfriend who didn't exist. And as much as like we talk about how we don't fuck with sports, I love shows about sports and the shit that's, you know, the behind the scenes shit. And the Untold series on Netflix is fucking kind of peak trash TV, right? It's all about like all of these scandals and all of the stories behind the stories. So the girlfriend who didn't exist was about this college football player, right, who got catfished. Right? He got catfished, and the person who was catfishing him was so enraptured in his life and stuff like that to get out of it, they actually faked their own online death, right? And so the dude, like the football player, he's out and he's on TV and stuff, like talking about his dead girlfriend that he's never actually met. You know, they've only had online interactions. And then there was like a discovery that this chick doesn't exist, and there's this whole entire fucking hullabaloo. And it's a fascinating fucking story. Like the Untold series on Netflix, like for all of the bullshit TV shows and movies that they put out, their documentaries are peak, man. Like, fucking, I'll fuck with a Netflix documentary.
All right.
Moving on from that, I got to talk about What We Do in the Shadows. All right. So this is this new season. I think we're 5 or 6 episodes in, and I just want to talk about the last episode, which was if you're familiar with the show, Guillermo de la Cruz is the familiar for the house, who is actually a descendant of Van Helsing. So he wants to be a familiar, he wants to be a vampire, but also he comes from a lineage of vampire killers. And his sexuality was never really a part of the show, right? But all throughout this season, they've been dropping hints and everything like that. And this episode, he finally comes out of the closet to his family and to like everybody in the vampire house. And I just wanted, like, it was a great episode. It was well executed. It didn't feel like it was inserted just to insert it, right? It felt natural and like a natural progression of that character's story arc, right? And I just want to say, juxtaposed this to how they sort of unceremoniously announce Elliot Page's transition in season 3 of The Umbrella Academy, right? And for those of you, like, it's this entire year, like with Better Call Saul, and now with What We Do in the Shadows, and also Our Flag Means Death, there has been like very, very nuanced and like well thought out, well executed sort of coming out moments, right? Or examples of like the LBT, the rainbow peoples coming out and everything like that, the queer peoples, and their stories. And that's the one thing I hated about the Umbrella Academy season 3 with Elliot Page, because it just felt unearned and just fucking ham-fisted. And I'll get into that in a later episode, but I'm sick and I don't want to talk about it. But really, What We Do in the Shadows, if you love the first couple of seasons, you're going to love this season. There's nothing new in it. It's all the same shit, like the quirky vampire weird shit. But I just wanted to make a special sort of announcement with that. After that, I'm going to move into I don't know if you've watched this, if you want to do a dual thing on this, She-Hulk.
Yeah, I ain't hate it as much as everybody else, but I will point out that Jennifer is horribly written and is a terrible person.
Right. That's what I got from it. And I watched the show twice just because I didn't want to be unfair to it. Right. Some of the elements in it were really, really great. Like when Jennifer is talking about how she always has to control her anger. And she's talking about like, being catcalled and like being mansplained and shit like that. Some real like female experience in the world. Shit, that was fantastic.
Right.
The comedy kind of fell short for me. Like I know they were trying to say this was a comedy. It wasn't very funny.
No.
The CGI at times, right? Like sometimes the She-Hulk looked really good, and sometimes like the mouth movements did not match up.
None of the CGI bothered me just because it looks better than most of what we get in theaters.
Right.
However, that last scene of her in the court, the fuck was that? That was just like, that was so random.
Right. That was so random. And like, I can't wait to see what they're doing in these other episodes. But I tweeted about this, and, most shows have to make a pilot, and then they have to make a really good pilot so it gets sold and goes to series and shit like that. These Marvel shows don't have to do that. They go right to series. So they don't ever have to make a really strong pilot episode because they've already got guaranteed 10 episodes. And this, I think that's apparent in this first fucking episode, right? It's like you said, like when we were texting, all the shit's there. It's just sloppy.
Come to find out, I found out from somebody who worked on the show, this was supposed to be the penultimate episode.
A word? Wait. So their pilot episode is actually supposed to be towards the end of the show? Season?
Well, to put this in context for everybody, because I sent you some stuff.
Right.
This is how Marvel works. The creator of the show, Jessica Gao, has straight up said in an interview she had no idea how to write a lawyer show. So they would pivot away from writing cases like case shit. Because apparently this show was originally supposed to be about the Abomination being on trial, which makes sense. Motherfucker destroyed Harlem. They told them you can't do that because they didn't want to focus on one case and start doing case by the week. So they started writing around how they could properly write a lawyer show. And I'm just like, and this is not Jessica Gao's fault. This is Marvel's fault. Why would you hire somebody and then hire a whole room of writers who don't know how to write a lawyer show? Shit that's been happening since the dawn of TV. like Perry Mason. Law and Order's been on for like 50 fucking years in 6 different iterations.
Just get the story Bible from Matlock, cross out Matlock's name, and put Jessica Walter in there. And there you go. Not Jessica Walter, whatever her name is.
Like that shit blows my mind. My second thing is she's very candid in this interview, Jessica Gao, where she didn't know if it was going to be Jen or She-Hulk. So they would shoot and write a whole episode around She-Hulk, and then Marvel would come back and be like, okay, can we make this Jen? They're like, why? They're just like, we feel like this should be Jen.
Right. And to come to find out is like, because She-Hulk's a little too expensive.
Which I'm like, so this is the biggest company. Disney's the biggest company on Earth. Then Marvel's the biggest brand on Earth. And you're trying to tell me y'all motherfuckers don't want to pony up the money to have She-Hulk in her own fucking show.
Right. And here's the thing. Getting into the show, right? Like when Jessica Gao first pitched the show, they had to realize that fucking She-Hulk was going to be all CGI, right? like Bruce Banner is all like Hulk is all CGI, right? So like they knew that going in, and yet they're like, can we have a little less She-Hulk in this? It's like, no, motherfucker, it's a She-Hulk show.
That type of shit is just indicative of Marvel and why this Marvel shit has been so subpar, especially as you say, the CGI. Well, I mean, they're making these CG VFX artists like workhorses. Like these guys are underpaid, working 70, 80-hour days, and at the last minute, they'll get a rejection, and then they got to come up with something in less than 2 weeks of the film being released.
That sounds like a great way to work. That sounds like no one in VFX at any of these studios that are working with Marvel, it doesn't sound like they want to blow their heads off at all.
Yeah, because from what I understand, these VFX people, they like working with everybody but Marvel. And a lot of your movies that you want to see that have been postponed, they've been postponed because Marvel has literally like been backlogging these VFX houses.
Yeah.
And that's why they look the way they look. It's amazing to me they spend all this money on concept art and concept models and like all these statues, and then at the last minute, let's throw out this design and just do it like this.
Right. Yeah, so fucking She-Hulk, I hope it I really hope it gets better.
Yeah, because the writing's garbage.
Like, I really want it to get better. And like you said, the character of Jessica, she's not a good person.
And the reason why I'm saying she's not a good person is because she calls out Bruce and Bruce's problems. And instead of like trying to help him with that, she uses it as a joke or to belittle him.
Right.
After all this shit this dude's been through, like all the trauma. And she's just like, And like some of the feminist jokes are not funny. Like when they do the Hulk leap and they land and Hulk starts roaring and then Jen goes, man, I'm like, that's not fucking funny.
Like I kind of chuckled at that, but like it didn't land the way they wanted it to land. Yeah, that shit's not funny. Right. Like the only joke I liked was the mid-credit scene. And even that, I'm just like, you're here in this fucking situation because you're fixated on somebody's virginity, a person you're never going to meet. And it has nothing to do with you. You caused a whole fucking car crash because you were worried about somebody's virginity. Yeah, I mean, that was that last that mid-credit scene, that was the funniest thing. I mean, think about that. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Like if Thor kept asking Bruce, like, yo, is She-Hulk a virgin? Like, people would be disgusted by it, right? Yeah. But also, like, I don't know. I get it. I get where you're coming from. I get it. Yeah, I mean that's a longer conversation. That's like how, if you look at it, Wonder Woman really did rape that dude in the movie.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Right, and like 84. So I get it. I'm too tired to like actually have that conversation. That's a longer conversation, and I'd actually like to have Lena Wilson here.
For that
conversation. You know, I guess
one thing before you move on from She-Hulk, I want to say Marvel needs to stop hiring these no-name writers, and especially these no-name writers from the school of Dan Hartman. I see what you're doing. You're trying to get these people for cheap. Right. And since they're TV writers, they can churn out scripts fast, but
you want good scripts. Like you can have it, you can have it good or you can have it fast.
And look, I get it, because Dan Harmon does comedy well and he does nerdy sci-fi well. But
go ahead. Yeah, finish it. This is not it.
There's a reason why a lot of these motherfuckers aren't known. Like Jessica Gal's biggest writing credit before this is the Pickle Rick episode.
Oh, she wrote the Pickle Rick episode?
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Pickle Rick episode.
I fucking hate that shit.
I fucking love that shit. Yeah, it's Marvel, like She-Hulk. Will do better. It'll do better. I have faith it'll do better.
You know what, man? I'll read the Wikipedia descriptions, and then when Daredevil shows up, I'll watch that episode. But otherwise, like, it's come now to a point where watching this episode, I was just like, there's no need for me to watch this anymore. Like, I don't care how connected or the guest stars week to week are going to be of the show. As an overall storytelling device for the overall narrative of the MCU, it's superficial.
Right. So I don't care. Like, I care just because I'm a completist, but I don't care.
Yeah, man. Especially this is coming right after Moon Knight and Miss Marvel. Like, Miss Marvel was fantastic, and now y'all gonna in theory, a lawyer comedy starring She-Hulk should be a home run, and it's just like, well, because most of this episode is spent on her origin story. An origin story which makes sense because they tweaked it and updated it. But again, most of it, I'm just like, yo, it's your fault. Like, she's giving Bruce such a hard time. I'm like, yo, most of this is your fault, though.
I mean, I don't think most of it's her fault, because that ship was going to be there anyway. Right?
Yeah, but she easily could have, if she was paying attention, easily could have slammed on the brakes.
Right.
And stopped the fucking car.
Right. Fair enough. Instead of worrying about who's getting laid and who's not getting laid. Yeah. So there we go. And moving on, speaking of who's getting laid, I watched the first episode of the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, House of Dragons, House of the Dragon, whatever it's called. Yeah. Everybody loves it. Everybody seems to love it. I spent 8-10 years of my life and I wasn't doing it again. Look, there's no mystery. I've always called this show Rape and Dragons. And so this is, the reinvention. It is 50% less rape and 100% more dragons. I did not like it. Like, I didn't hate it, but it didn't have the sort of hook that the pilot episode of Game of Thrones had, right? And and I get it. We're already in this world, right? We've spent 9 years with these in Westeros and shit like that. So it's still not going to have that same sense of discovery. But this is just, it felt boring to me. It felt like paint by numbers. It felt paint by numbers fantasy. It was like, okay, well, the king's brother is an asshole, and the daughter will never, the daughter is set upon, and blah 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 blah. It's everything you've seen before now with dragons. I hope it gets better. I really do. But if this first episode is an indication, I don't have to. There's nothing pulling me into this. There's nothing. There's literally, and everyone who loves it, good. I'm glad you forgot about that last season of Game of Thrones. I'm glad you pushed that out of your memory. I haven't. I have not forgot about that, and so I'm looking at this through that lens. It's like I said, it's competently made. They spent money on it. It's well acted. It's a lot of exposition, like a lot of fucking moving pieces. It's fine. It's fine. I don't know. I haven't read any other reviews or anything like that on it, just because I didn't care enough. So you tell me people love this shit?
I mean, I went on Twitter. Everybody was eating it out their palm, and I was like, "All right, well, good for y'all."
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I said this on the show earlier. I was like, I'm not watching this bullshit, and I'm keeping to my word. Like, Lord of the Rings is coming out next week, man. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. If it doesn't start hitting the gas in these next 2 episodes, I don't have a way. I don't have a reason to finish. Honestly, if it doesn't start doing something, or pulling me in, it's there. It's just there. It exists. Yeah. Moving on from that, let's see. I did a binge watch of Only Murders in the Building.
So you finished this week's episode?
I finished this week's episode. Did you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Season 2 is better than season 1.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Right. Yeah. And that's a testament to the great writing of the show and like how fun it is that the second season really is much better than the first season. And I loved the first season. All right. But this is so fun. And so just funny, but not like laugh out loud funny. It's just it makes you feel good.
It's dry humor.
It's dry humor, and it just makes you feel like I'm invested in these fucking characters, And some of the best shit in the show has nothing to do with the actual murder. It has to do with like their lives outside of the murder.
I mean, everything that's set up in this season has been paid off, which I applaud them for.
Yeah, and I can't wait for this third season. I hope it got renewed.
Nick, we talked about this weeks ago.
Did we? I can't remember.
That shit got renewed weeks ago.
All right, cool. Yeah, so third season is going to be fucking amazing because they're out of the building. There's only one plot hole, and it doesn't bother me, but I just have the question, which is, how did the killer find out about the secret passageways in the Arconia? Well, if the killer was doing the research on the artists, they might have found out about the artist's history and then their connection to the Arcania, or the Arconia. So it doesn't bother me, and like if you hopscotch that shit, you can make it work logically, but it doesn't bother me if it doesn't.
Look, I'm just posing the question. I'm not saying that it brings the show down. It doesn't. Like, everything has plot holes, but that's just one where I thought they would have patched that up.
Yeah, no. Like if I can make that leap of logic, like, and I can make it work, but I don't need to. But yeah, I see that.
All right. Yeah. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's my only other question. Otherwise, all this shit, like the reversal in this last episode, I did not see coming.
Right.
I did not see that shit coming. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
The true identity of the killer. Because we haven't even talked about the misdirects, and I don't want to because that's part of the fun of this season.
Yeah, it's such a fucking fun show. Like you could watch. Honestly, this is a show you could rewatch just to see all of the things that you had missed on that first watch, and probably still enjoy it.
Oh yeah, like if I get bored one day, I'll probably binge season 2 because that's how I watched season 1 was a binge. Because this is like almost reading a book. It's like reading a Agatha Christie mystery.
Yeah. Yeah,
like totally. You just go through chapter by chapter, and it's set up like a podcast. Like even the titles are set up like a podcast. So
like the graphics are like, so it's awesome.
Yeah. So I look between this Bodies, and Ryan's upcoming Knives Out sequels. Kenny, man. You gotta update these Agatha Christie Poirot movies. Like I had fun with Death on the Nile, and Murder on the Orient Express was dry, but I think there's room for improvement where you can engage a modern audience in a murder mystery. Like all these properties prove like, hey, there's fun to be had here. Like the reason why I give you a pass with Death on the Nile is because that shit was campy as fuck.
And I don't think he has to update for a modern audience with that, because this fits right into that sweet spot of like those old heads.
It's so dry. It's so dry, and there's just stretches through both of those where I'm just like, can we get to the point?
Well, I said it in our review. Like I hated this movie up until like halfway through. And it didn't lock into me until halfway through, and then I was invested. But I shouldn't have to have dragged myself to the halfway point to actually start enjoying the movie.
They really need to look at these properties and give it life, because that's what it's missing. It's missing life. And like I said, the only reason why Death on the Nile got a pass is because of the campiness. Like, once they got to basically that fucking dance floor sequence where they're basically like having sex on the dance floor, I was like, all right. Armie Hammer had that fucking his face up fucking Gal Gadot's crotch. I was like, all right.
When's that Armie Hammer fucking documentary coming out?
Oh, is that a Netflix thing?
I think it was a Netflix thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
I don't know.
Army. Okay, let's check that off. We're gonna go through the movies real quick. I decided to watch The Perfect Storm again because we lost Wolfgang Peterson last week, and I forgot how much I love that fucking movie. All right, The Perfect Storm. It's just about fucking fishermen fishing, but it's engaging, and like the characters are there, and because that they're all going to fucking die, spoiler alert, it hits the same way every time I've watched it, just that fucking sadness. And like I watch The Perfect Storm every time, hoping that the ending will change. It's like, well, maybe this time they'll just stay. They'll stay at the Flemish Cap. They won't try to make it back. But yeah, I mean, it's peak Wolfgang Peterson. Like the acting is actually on point. Mark Wahlberg. I forget sometimes that Mark Wahlberg can actually act sometimes. Yeah. Because he's so busy doing all this other bullshit that like you forget that he's like, oh, okay, he can throw it down. All right, he can act. John C. Reilly is in it, and because we were so used to seeing John C. Reilly in these, Will Ferrell movies, right? And like all these comedies, but you forget that he's an actual he's an actor. You know, like State of Grace, Winning Time. This is like he can actually do fucking drama and do it real well. So there you go. So The Perfect Storm, it's on HBO Max. Watch it before The Purge happens and they just burn that motherfucker down. It's one of Wolfgang Petersen's better movies. Along with Air Force One and Das Boot. So.
Still haven't seen that shit.
No, you haven't seen Das Boot?
I know that shit's long as fuck, man.
Yeah, man, it's like fucking 18 hours or some shit like that. I did discover his gay prison movie that he made back in the 60s or 70s, and I got a copy of it. I just haven't watched it yet, but it's it's supposed to be like the for the screen captures look beautiful, so I can't wait to watch that shit. Moving on from that, I've been on this kick of watching like early 90s movies from my fucking childhood, and I gotta give a special mention to Stay Tuned, one of John Ritter's only like movie performances.
Yeah, I remember that. It's the fucking where they get sucked into the TV.
Hell.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I love this fucking movie, man.
Yeah. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. It's fucking peak 90s all the way through. Like it even starts with that 90s the 90s narration is like, "Hey, my name is Jimmy and my life is pretty crazy. You may be wondering how I got here," you know, and then like it's just the flashbacks and shit like that, you know, and like every other fucking early 90s movie. But yeah, this is a fun fucking movie. So for all those of you who don't know, John Ritter gets sucked into a TV, which is actually a portal to hell. And so he's got 24 hours to survive in all of these hellish parodies of TV. Before he's released, you know, if he dies in one of these TV shows, the devil gets his soul. If he survives 24 hours, he gets to go back home. And it's all sorts of misadventures. He gets sucked in there with his wife. This, honestly, is a better version of Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So honestly, if you want. Just watch Stay Tuned if you want that fucking madcap multiverse type bullshit. Stay tuned. And yeah, this is going to my pantheon of like happy movies. It's like I'm just going to watch this shit, have it on in the background when I just need a fucking pick me up or whatever like that, because it's fun, it's funny, and it ages pretty well. I mean, honestly, the special effects in here are better than some of the Marvel movies we've seen lately. Honestly,
that's how it is.
So, like, they spent some money on this. I don't know if it ever got like the respect that it needed, but yeah. So, if you get a chance, watch Stay Tuned on Amazon Prime. And special shout out, one more special shout out to Fright Night 2011. With Anton Yelchin. I love that fucking movie. I'd fallen asleep with Hulu on, woke up, it was on. It's like, oh god damn it. Like, of all the needless remakes of 80s horror movies, this one got it. I think the creative team is the same creative team that did the original Fright Night, so that's probably why it feels good. But yeah, so R.I.P. Anton Yelchin. Fucking Colin Farrell kills it as Jerry Dandridge. Toni Collette. Fucking everybody's just hitting on all cylinders. It was a fun vampire movie, and I'm just after watching Day Shift, this was a nice palate cleanser. This is like, okay, you can actually do a vampire movie pretty well. That's not Blade. And that's what I've been watching.
All right. Well, for TV, I'm going to get into something I forgot to talk about last week, which was I Am Groot. It's a series of 5 shorts on Disney Plus, and honestly, this is just a waste of resources.
Yeah, like, is it that bad?
Cute. It's cute. It's for kids. That's all I got. Bradley Cooper shows up as Rocket at one point, and it's just like, okay. It adds nothing really to the character, or Groot, or anybody else. So,
but are they at least enjoyable?
To varying degrees. And I mean that on an episode by episode basis.
Because they're only 5 minutes each, right, or something like that.
Yeah. It's whatever. I mean,
all right.
Get into Primal, Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal. This second season's been fucking carnage galore, off the rails fucking carnage. I don't know if the season's over or not, but like, if that was the last episode that aired on Friday, that's a good season ender. That's possibly a good series ender. Yeah, I fucking love anything Genndy does. I'm gonna watch because I love that dude. Minus the Hotel Transylvania shit. Other than that, I love everything he's done.
Well, he's not on that anymore, right? I mean, he's just an EP on those now, right?
For the last one.
Okay.
I watched the first episode of Amazon's A League of Their Own. It's a solid first episode. I got to give it a couple of more episodes to really give a full judgment on it. I'm surprised the movie's leaving Amazon at the end of the month, considering Amazon paid all this money to do this show based on the movie. I want to get into Harley Quinn. This most recent episode, there was no Harley Quinn in it, and honestly, it was the best episode of the season so far because it's about the Joker running for mayor. Like, he deals with a Karen, and because he deals with this Karen, he's like, "Oh, fuck this! I'm gonna make this bitch's life a living hell by running for mayor." Yeah.
Can I skip all the other episodes and just watch that episode?
Yes.
Okay.
And Joker has a family. He's married to this Mexican woman, and she has Mexican kids. So he's trying to do right by his family.
Wait, wasn't that in the last season? Didn't he have a family?
Yeah.
That was the next family in the second one? Season?
Yeah. So he's still married to him. This was a fantastic episode. This is what I wished every fucking episode was like. Like, this episode, I was like, yes, this is the Harley Quinn I missed.
All right, so episode 4, right? Is that where we are?
6
episodes. Oh, god damn it!
Because they put out the first 3 episodes back to back one day.
Gotcha. So man, it took to episode 6 for it to actually be good. Okay.
We'll get into this Beavis and Butthead thing. Honestly, I think I might just give up on it because it's just not funny. So that's all I got to say about that. And then we'll get into a final piece of television, which is the 6th and season finale of The Rehearsal.
Yeah. This fucking show.
This episode got into why this whole shit was a bad idea. First, before we get into all of that shit, I want to say white Christians are the worst.
I mean,
because one of the kids, Nathan, had to say, "Oh yeah, so what do you want me to say to him?" She's like, "Jesus is our Lord and Savior." He's like, "Yeah, Jesus is our Lord and Savior. And since I'm a Jew, I'm going to hell. Is that right?" And she goes, "Yes." And I was just like, "Oh wow." I was like, do none of these white people realize they're on fucking camera saying
they don't care, man. They're in Oregon. You know, they're fucking they
like,
are
we can see your face and hear you. Like, that's all it takes for people to listen, people will hunt you down.
Like episode 3 where that dude was like, "Yeah, she's a real Jew with money." And I was like, that is not out of the realm of like possibility of things that people would say in fucking Oregon.
So really, it's just Portland. It's like Portland and Texas. Like, Austin, Texas is like this nice oasis and you're surrounded by shit. And then Portland, Oregon, a nice oasis surrounded by shit. So really, you visit those 2 cities and stay away from everything else in that fucking state.
Well, if you're brown or gay or, Jew.
A Jew, yeah, or if you're Jewish, because goddamn, does everybody? Yeah, it seems like Portland's really anti-Semitic. Like, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, this episode, oh my god, it's fucking
It's heartbreaking.
It's
because Remy really thought that was his dad after a while.
Right. It's like, I don't want him to be not my daddy. I don't want to call him Nathan. And I was like, oh, this is making me feel all sorts of bad.
Yeah, man. And so, like, it's like every episode since the third one, you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper down this rabbit hole.
Right. And it's like, why this is just, I get it. The rehearsals, it's funny. And it's kind of interesting. But the collateral damage, especially with these children, and it's like, oh, poor little Remy.
Yeah.
But then it gets real fucking weird where fucking Nathan dresses up like the mom and like rehearses the mom's experience after the show. Fucking Nathan Fielder is fucking Charlie Kaufman of TV, man. It's just fucking weird and strange and gives you all sorts of feelings.
I have no idea what the second season's going to be because right before this finale aired, like 4 hours before it aired, they were like, yeah, we renewed it for a second season. I was like, oh, awesome. And then you watch this last episode, you're just like, oh, boy, I don't know if y'all should have renewed this shit.
Right. But like, here's the thing. Who's like now it's become a cultural milestone, right? Like before this first season, no one knew what the rehearsal was. Now people know what the rehearsal is. Like, how are you going to get people to voluntarily sign up for this shit?
I'm pretty sure you could find some more shit-stained people. Because think about it, man. Fucking none of these people heard of Nathan For You. And they all are on the show saying all this wild shit. Whatever pop. I mean, you have a dude on this show wearing the fucking Punisher skull around his neck.
Next to his grandfather's ashes.
Like at a certain point, it's just like, I'm pretty sure you could go somewhere in this country and find some shitbag people to make another second season. My question is just, what will it be?
I don't know. I can't wait, though. So, yeah, that last episode. Woo-wee!
I want to know if Core's still teaching. Can someone out there please tweet at me if Core is still fucking living in Brooklyn?
Did they give his last name?
People have found out and said his last name online. I think it's Johnson or some shit like that. Like, I want to know if this dude is still in Brooklyn teaching, because if so,
I mean, he doesn't have a degree, so how are they gonna?
Well, he has a bachelor's degree. He doesn't have a master's.
Let me not Google this dude because I'll go down a hole. Like, I'll do that on my off time.
Angela comes back, and Angela comes back because Nathan, out of for the show, and you could tell this is pure comedy. Like, he doesn't mean anything he was saying. Gave an apology, and I put that in air quotes, an apology to Angela, and Angela just goes on this whole rant about why she should forgive Nathan, and you could tell even she gets lost at one point.
Right, and it's like
she's doing that number shit that dude was doing, Robin was doing
the number shit, and also it's like I accept your apology. It's like, but don't. I'm like screaming at the TV, but don't you have anything to apologize for? Because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
You're wild anti-Semitic.
Right?
Yeah. This is awful. Like we said, awful people. Like everybody on this show, except for Remy and his mom, are fucking awful people.
And like, I want to be mad at Remy's mom, but then again, I get it. You're a single mother. Like, this is an opportunity to make some fucking money.
And child actors, whatever. That's fine. But I don't think she realized.
She didn't realize when she signed up what was going to happen. Right. So, like, I like, she gets a pass. Like, normally it's like, come on, bitch. You should have known.
Yeah, but everybody else in this is just awful.
Yeah.
Except for the teenage kid too. He's fine.
The teenage kid and like the 9-year-old.
He's a little shitbag too.
It's like, well, you're a great scene partner.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow. I was like, wow. All right, yeah, fuck
like
you too.
It's like you okay, wow, you really are an actor. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, so that's the rehearsal. I can't wait to see season 2 whenever that happens.
I wonder if season 2 is just going to be everyone rehearsing the therapy sessions they're going to have after season 1.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, I'm going to move into movies, and we'll start with the Poseidon Adventure from 1972.
The OG.
Yeah, I saw the remake, which I didn't care for, which was just aptly Poseidon. This remake, the original, it's good. Like, all these characters have personality to them. The set pieces, believe it or not, are more thrilling and dangerous than the remake. It also helps that Gene Hackman, like, no offense, I love fucking Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell will always be that dude, but you have Gene Hackman, man, as the main character. And this dude is like a suave playboy preacher. And you know, like, this is a preacher who's like, hey, if I fuck, I'll fuck, in the name of God. And you had Ernest Borgnine in it. And I've seen Ernest Borgnine in plenty of other movies, but in this one, I was like, damn, Ernest Borgnine is fucking jacked. I was like, this nigga look like he's been doing burpees on the scaffolding.
Fuck, he looks like J.K. Simmons from fucking
Justice League?
Justice League, for no reason.
Yeah, man. I was just like, damn, he is jacked up. So, yeah, fucking... It's leaving the Criterion Channel at the end of the month, and I can't recommend it enough because it's only like an hour and 40 minutes. It's nice. It gets you in, it gets you out, and it really is an adventure. Like, I wish we could get more disaster movies, like practical, like this. This is, and Leslie Nielsen, it's one of his first roles. It wasn't even comedic. He made a good dramatic actor, not for nothing.
Right, and like you said, like disaster movies that aren't just about spectacle. Or like CGI, like, oh, let's see if we can blow up this city.
Yeah.
I watched San Andreas the other day, and it was like, or a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, this is fucking stupid.
Yes. It's sad that movie got made, but fucking Brad Bird can't get 1901 made. Like, I would love to see 1901.
He's got to put The Rock in it.
Yeah, fucking... All right, moving to on Paramount Plus, they had Orphan First Kill, which is the prequel to Orphan. And I gotta say, as someone who wasn't too crazy about the first one, this prequel, pretty fucking entertaining.
Really?
I was expecting nothing from this, and this shit is just entertaining. Like, it starts at a 10. Where this bitch is just in the insane asylum, and the escape is insane. Like, the way she escapes, I was like, this is fucking wild.
Right, because like I didn't hate the original Orphan, but I had no expectations for this. But the fact that you're like, yeah, okay,
it's entertaining. I mean, I ain't gonna say run out and see it, but yeah, there's a twist halfway through, and you're just like, oh, that's fucked up. And so it completely changes the movie's dynamic where you're like, oh, well, Esther's in some trouble.
Oh, man.
Because she fucked with the wrong people. And so, yeah, it's worth a watch.
Okay. All right. Shit.
For the first time over the weekend, I saw Time Crimes, Nacho Vigalando's Time Crimes.
Wait, this is your first time seeing it?
Yeah. Because I saw Colossal when it came out in theaters years ago, and it jumps from streaming service to streaming service. So it'd always be like, okay, let me go watch Time Crimes. It'll be leave. I will go on Netflix. Oh, let me watch Time Crimes. It left. So like that's one of the problems. It just leapfrogs from service to service.
Because it's on HBO right now, but it's like leaving at the end of the month. And I said like, let me watch Time Crimes again before the end of this fucking month.
Yeah, man. This is a movie where you reap what you sow, and if you see a white woman stripping naked in the woods, maybe leave her alone. Maybe call the cops, because no white woman is gonna strip naked in the woods for no reason. You call the police because that's a trap. Even
like,
I knew. I was like, my God, you just had sex with your wife. Why are you gonna go looking for this white bitch stripping naked in the woods? That's a trap.
In the words of Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. Like, sometimes it's a trap.
And unless she's doing it right in front of me, and then even then you gotta be careful, because you know how shit goes nowadays.
White women will get you murdered or get you in a time loop where murder is involved.
So
but I love them.
Yeah, man. Maybe. This is a lesson in don't cheat on your wife, and don't be a scumbag, and call 911 when you see a white woman stripping in the woods.
Right. I mean, but honestly, this is one of the best time travel movies.
Yeah, for a movie that had like no budget, it's pretty impressive, and it's so well made. So I will say, definitely watch it. I saw The Sea Beast on Netflix, and it's an animated film. It's basically How to Train Your Dragons with Kraken and pirates. And I fucks with it. This movie's way too good for Netflix. Like, way too
Really?
good. Yeah, this should not be on Netflix. The animation is fantastic, too. I was just like, damn, bro. I was just like, this couldn't get released in theaters or by a company that cares.
Because I keep on passing by it. It was like, not today, but maybe.
Yeah, Sea Beast is a nice hour and a half watch. It goes down smooth. Saw for the first time the other night a movie called Giant from 1956. Stars Elizabeth Taylor and James Dean and Rock Hudson. It is fucking... it's based off a book, so I don't know if the book is Giant. I don't know why the fucking movie's called Giant. Maybe it's called Giant because this motherfucker's 3.5 hours.
Oh, shit. What's it about?
It is about this woman who comes from an affluent upscale family, and she marries a rancher who was at her house to buy a horse because she lives in New England, and this rancher's from Texas. She meets this rancher, falls in love, and they move down south to his ranch, and it deals with the general racism and sexism and generational impact that has on the family.
I mean, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, but
not in 3 hours.
3.5 hours, nigga. Like, the only reason why I watched this too is because this is regarded as one of the best movies ever made. I've always been meaning to watch it, and then this was one of the few movies that is streaming in 4K on HBO Max. So I was like, oh, all right, okay. It's in 4K. The surround sounds good. I was like, let me watch it, and like, halfway through, I'm just like, yo, can we wrap this up? Can we get to the point? Like, god damn, bro. R.I.P. James Dean. This was like his last role.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll get into Jennifer's Body, which I rewatched again because of the bitch Lena.
I've actually never seen it.
Yeah, there's two versions. It's streaming on Amazon right now. The R-rated version and then the unrated version. I saw the R-rated version when it first came out way back in 2009 on DVD. And then last night I watched it again with the unrated version because I just remembered from that first time, like, thinking not much of it. And rewatching this, I'm just like, listen, I can't speak for feminists. I can't speak for queer people. If you see something in this, good. I'm glad you see something in this. But for me, this is just kind of hollow. This is just some hollow bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, unlike a lot of people, I was never on the Megan Fox train.
Oh yeah. I was never like, oh my God.
Right. So
she's pretty. She ain't that hot, man.
Right. So when this movie came out and like all the hype and shit like that behind it is like, oh yeah, I'll catch it on DVD or whatever like that. And then it came out on DVD. It was like, maybe one day I'll watch it. But I had no interest in seeing it.
Yeah, well, like, it's weird to me that feminists and especially queer people would like this over Bodies. It's just weird to me.
I mean, you're also talking about what, 12 years?
Yeah.
Separation. I mean, and a different generation. Wasn't this written by Juno?
Diablo Cody.
The Diablo Cody. Yeah.
And she makes a cameo in it as a bartender.
Okay.
Chris Pratt's in it too. He shows up for a scene.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, watching this, and I'm like, I understand this whole movie's a satire, and I was just like, but like, it's not funny. Look, Juno worked because Juno had something to say. I'm not really sure what this movie's trying to say, and on top of that, I don't like. Look, I like Joss Whedon. I'm a fan of Buffy. I'm a fan of Angel. I don't like the Joss Whedon dialogue in this movie, like the snarky, like jokey shit.
Right.
Like this movie seems a little too self-aware for its own good.
I'm trying to look what has Diablo Cody done lately.
She did a young adult.
Yeah. Young Adult was the last movie she did, but she's writing the live action Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, that's sad.
Wow,
that makes me sad.
No, well, no, maybe it's good. Yeah,
Gendy's right there though.
Yeah, but they're gonna make it self-referential and woke stuff like that. So
yeah. Look. I don't know if somebody out there wants to tell me why they love Jennifer's Body and why Jennifer's Body is a good movie. I'm more than willing to listen. Like, I'm not going to outright dismiss this movie because I don't hate it. But to me, it's just like, yeah, it is what it is. I could never see this movie again and die happy, honestly.
So what's it streaming on?
Amazon.
I'll check it out. Like, I'll check out the unrated. Like, do I need to watch the R-rated versus the unrated to have a frame of reference, or can I just jump right to the
I'll be honest with you, I don't know, because it's been so long since I've seen it. It was 2009 this came out, so I hadn't seen it since then. So okay. I couldn't even tell you.
All right, so I'll just jump into the unrated and see what's it about.
And so the last movie I'll talk about is 13 Lives on Amazon. It's a decent little drama movie by Ron Howard. I don't know why this went straight to streaming. Like, this could have got a theatrical release.
It looks big. It looks like it is money.
It's well mixed too. Like, the sound mixing in this is fantastic. And not for nothing, this has Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell, and Joel Edgerton. So it's not like it has like chumps in the starring roles. So based on a true story about the kids and their coach getting stuck in a mine in Thailand, and these dudes come in and rescue them as the mine is flooding.
Yeah, I mean, I keep on wanting to watch it because it looks interesting, and like, I'm always here for a Ron Howard movie. Yeah,
man, this is one of his better movies.
All right, cool.
So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. That's it. So I mean, let's get into our main review.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the Film Blurbs feature film review.
All right, what are we going to talk about first?
We will talk about Beast first.
All right. It was good. It's exactly what I expected it to be.
I expected better. I expected this, like, the opening I was into.
Right.
I was just like, oh, okay, my man's just doing a oneer. It's an effective oneer because it builds the tension. This is well shot because this is completely dark, but we can see all these black ass people. I love that. And then it quickly devolves there downhill from there. Like, I'm tired of doing this with single parents where they have
the kids hate them.
Yeah, I'm tired of this. I'm really tired of this. And you know what? Not for nothing, I applaud the younger daughter because the younger daughter was smart. She did what she told. She was more resourceful than the older daughter. And at a point, she even said, like, yo, stop giving him a hard time and just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
This younger daughter, the older daughter, she would get into shit where I'm just like, why don't you fucking listen? Don't do that. No more person's gonna do that. And after a while, I was like, I hope your ass gets eaten by the lion.
Once again, no one can write teenagers effectively because they're either, they're always horrible. They're always horrible people. And I know teenagers are horrible people, but they're not evil like this. Not evil, but like just give the dude a break. Like,
yeah, man.
Like you're in fucking Africa. Can you turn back your anger for a minute, for like a couple of days?
I mean, that trip is not fucking cheap either.
Right.
So I mean, if that was me, I'd be like, yo, this is fucking wild. Like, yo, can we pet a fucking giraffe before we dip out of here?
Right. It's just, but like it's you saw Ghost in the Darkness, you saw this shit, like you've seen like any of these, animals gone wild.
Yeah, the animal exploitation films.
Right.
Man versus animal.
But it was, it was Idris, so I'm here for it. I love the fist fight at the end.
Like that nigga should have died though.
Oh yeah, like yeah.
I was just like, there's no way this nigga. He was hopping around on a cane afterwards. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Like no, that's like that leg would be gone. That arm would be gone.
Yeah. Like, nigga straight up decked the lion in the face. I was like, yo, he got to do what we wanted Jason Statham to do in the Meg. Like we wanted to see Jason Statham punch that shark in the face.
He did what we wanted Liam Neeson to do in The Gray. Remember the trailer for The Gray when he puts the fucking glass?
Yeah,
like,
we were like, oh, he's gonna fucking punch a fucking wolf. And but shout out to Sharlto Copley. They did you dirty here. It's good to see you.
They always. And there's never a movie where Sharlto Copley is not done dirty.
It's good to see you play a good guy, like a good, decent guy for once. And like, he was like the only reasonable person with his anger towards Idris, where he's just like, Idris like, why don't you come to the funeral? He's like, man, I'm not going to New York to see my friend buried in concrete. She should have been buried here in Africa. Fuck you. I was just like, yeah, nigga,
yeah. I mean, like I said, this could be like, I would not rush out to the theaters to watch this.
This will be on Peacock in probably 2-3 weeks. You can watch it there.
Like this is a fucking Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, getting over a hangover movie.
Like if it wasn't for Idris and Sharlto Copley,
like no.
Yeah, this movie wouldn't be shit.
Yeah, no.
And I'm tight how powerful they made the lion. Like the lion got blown up, it got tranquilized, it got shot, and this motherfucker's still going. I was like, nah, look, a lion's strong. It ain't that fucking strong, bro.
It's that Compton line, so it's that Compton line.
Like that motherfucker got blown the fuck up, and you saw the burn marks all over it and shit, and it's still going. Like it like shook that shit off and just kept going. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Right. Also, I like the explanation of how the lion caught up to them at the end. They're like, where the girl's like, how'd the lion catch up? He's like, took a shortcut through the mountains. So I was like, that lion, it's an animal, dog. Lion ain't that smart.
Man, what the fuck does a lion know about shortcuts? Like he pulled out a map. And it's like put his glasses on. It's like I can save 10 minutes if I go past this mangrove tree.
The lion is the hunchback from 300.
If the lion's your dad using MapQuest, printing out the directions.
Yeah, man. I was really looking forward to this, and like. Instead of this being like a really cool exploitation film, it was just stupid and over the top.
It was enjoy. I did not expect anything from this. Like I got exactly what I expected. Like a dumb fucking Idris Elba punches a fucking lion in the face movie.
All right, well, let's move into our second movie, which we saw like 3 weeks ago now, and it's opening this week. I'm excited to see it again. Is called 3,000 Years of Longing by the god George Miller. George Miller's back, baby.
Yeah. So don't let the trailers fool you. Okay. This movie isn't nearly as strange or over the top as that trailer tries to sell you on. I mean, it's weird as fuck, right? But this is a love story, like front and back. That's what this movie is a love story. And it tries to sell you on this whole entire mystical, magical fucking adventure. Like, nah, it's not that.
Well, to me, I mean, yeah, it's a parable on love and human nature.
Yeah.
Like just human nature in general and how we react to love and how love informs certain decisions that we make. What's cool is this is like a sweet hour and 40 minutes. It's mostly in two places.
Right.
I love that it's not afraid to get fucking zany, because there's parts of this where I'm like, yo, this is just off the wall.
I love the fur-lined room.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Let's leave it at that. Leave it at that. This is the type of movie somebody gets to make once they had huge success with their previous one, because this is his first movie since Fury Road, and Fury Road is now like 7 years ago.
Yeah, this was definitely a passion project. Like, this is definitely like, I can do what I want. This is what I'm going to do now. It's beautiful. It's beautifully acted.
It's really well mixed. It's getting a Dolby Cinema release, so see it in Dolby Cinema.
Right. I mean, the visuals are beautiful. Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba's chemistry is like, I actually kind of want to see that couple. Like, I want to see them like in the world.
This is a nice fucking little fairy tale for adults. First and foremost, it's based off a book. I didn't even know this was a book, and I'm surprised that this got made at the budget it did, because this is not cheap. It's cheap in studio terms, but not cheap in profitability.
What was it?
$60 million.
I mean, they did a lot with that $60 million.
Yeah, but this is not going to make $60 million.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, this is going to be one of those indie darlings. This will be like a movie 20 years from now. Someone talks about the movies that influenced them.
Because I know how this is how shit works. This movie is weird and quirky, so majority of people are going to hate it. And then years from now, when we're both old, people are going to be like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me 3,000 Years of Longing was amazing? I'm like, well, I tried to. I did.
Like,
I did, nigga.
Film Blurs, episode 57.
Like, yeah, I mean,
2022, we told you.
Like, this is a great movie. It's one of the better movies of the year. And probably besides Top Gun, probably the second best movie of the summer, honestly. For me,
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but it would definitely end up in a top list for me for this year. And even though it's whimsical and it's whimsical as fuck, it's small, right? And I love that. Like, sometimes you want a fucking small movie, right? Like, sometimes you just want to like have a couple of characters doing what they do and interact.
Yeah, I mean. Like, there's only 3 movies that came out this summer that would make my top 10, which is Top Gun, Bodies, 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 and now this. Like, everything else this summer has kind of just been like, okay.
I can't remember what came out this summer.
Yeah, see,
right. I can't even remember.
See,
yeah, that's a shame.
See, like the only other thing I can remember is Thor, and that's because I enjoyed Thor.
Right. Well, but can I even count a Marvel movie? It's like a Marvel movie coming out is like the changing of the seasons. Like, you can anticipate it. So it's like not a big deal that there's a new Marvel movie out.
Right. But I mean, as far as everything else, I can't even remember. Oh, Lightyear.
Lightyear was good. So
Lightyear, and that's it. Those 4 movies, and like this summer. Okay, yeah, Black Phone and Elvis.
Okay, so it's been an okay summer.
Right. So I will say non-franchise shit has been very good.
Right.
But as far as like big summer movies, like it's really been Top Gun and nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, Top Gun ate everyone's lunch, and as it should.
But yeah, so this will probably be number 10 on my top 10 because I think this will probably make my top 10 just because I do like that this movie is optimistic as it is. It is for adults. Like, don't get it twisted. Do not take your kids to see this.
Oh, yeah. Like, you may see genies and fairies and shit like that, but it is actually violent.
Yeah.
Violent and bloody. And sexy as fuck.
It's for the type of story it is. I'm surprised how well told it is and how matured it is. Just because this could easily been some juvenile shit, and this is very, very mature for what it is.
Right, when I said the trailer sold you on something that this movie is not. All right, so like I don't want you to go into this movie after seeing the trailer. It's like, Jeff, you love that fucking movie, man. It was a piece of shit. It was a fucking love story that took place across the ages. I was like, I don't know what do you want me to tell you? It is what it is. It's great. It's a great fucking movie.
I mean, y'all motherfuckers go see dumb shit week after week. So try giving some smart shit a try.
Like, yeah, get some culture.
Like, I mean, come on. Oh, fuck, I forgot. Okay, so 2 summer blockbusters, Top Gun and Nope.
See, I don't even consider Nope a blockbuster because it's like an original. It's like it's a horror. I got a different litmus for what I consider blockbuster. Blockbusters are supposed to be stupid.
Nah, see, I don't consider blockbusters stupid.
Right?
Blockbusters can be smart.
Right. Well, I mean, Top Gun and but Nope, if you want to consider that. Okay, so this has been a pretty good summer. It's been okay. Like all things considering, we're coming off, the apocalypse and all that shit.
Yeah, all motherfuckers made Jurassic World $1 billion hit, so let's not give everybody too much credit.
Wait, it made $1 billion?
Close to it.
Oh, that's disappointing.
People love their fucking dumbass dinosaurs.
Dumbass super locusts.
Yeah. So, I mean,
nostalgia like a motherfucker.
So, like, this is basically it for the summer. You know what I mean? So, like, you got an Idris Elba double feature. One I highly recommend. One I don't. One I'm just like, hey, we could wait.
Yeah, Beast you can watch on TV. If you get a chance to see 3,000 Years of Longing, watch that in the biggest way you can with the best sound system.
Yeah, man, this was mixed in Dolby Atmos, so it is getting a Dolby Cinema release. So please try to see it in Dolby.
Yeah,
and that is episode 57.
We're the Film Blurred. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You've been listening to the Film Blurs podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best. It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.